In this video, I'm going to walk you through the process of creating a sugar skull in Adobe Illustrator. To begin, I've done a quick little bit of research and pulled up in my web browser some different sugar skulls so that I can identify things that are common between them and ideas or things that are interesting that I might want to incorporate into my own design. So to begin, I'm noticing that the colors are very vibrant, lots of aqua blues and blues, several shades of orange, some yellows, and some pinks. And I'm also noticing lots of dotted and lines, lots of scalloped edges, and lots of florals. In this image, I'm noticing lots of these sort of paisley shaped, teardrop shaped elements, some line work. Here I've got a flower on top and this milagro heart in the middle, and flowers inside the eyelid. Some diamond shapes. I notice here the nose is almost the shape of an inverted heart. Teeth and lips. And lots of detail among these. This one I noticed, I think this one's particularly interesting. This is actually a 3D model, and it's very similar, I think, to this design. I noticed some of the same elements, flowers, leaves, and here they show up in similar form, but different. Here again we have more scallops. This time the dots have, or the scallops have dots in them. Some line work, lots of bright colors, lots of flowers. And so I'm starting to have an idea for what kinds of elements I might want to put in my design. I like these little teardrop details in this design. So I spent just a minute sketching out some of my own ideas so that as I build this, I'm not struggling with the process of what elements I want where. First thing I'm going to do is reset my workspace. As a reminder, I use Essentials Classic, and I like to have my tools in 2 rows. I'm going to start by building the skeleton shape, just that skull shape. And to do that, I'm going to make a rounded rectangle at the top, and I'm going to pull it in so it's a little bit rounder. And then I'm going to do a second rounded rectangle toward the bottom. Fine, it can go like that. It was fighting with me, so I just clicked on it and I'll reform it the way I want it here. So there's my second rounded rectangle. That's going to be the jaw. And then the third piece I'm going to put in some sort of cheekbone elements right here. And I'm going to hold the Option key, the Alt key on a PC, so that I can draw that element from the center instead of from the edge. And last but not least, I want to choose just this and these 2 corner rounding widgets so I can sort of smooth those out. And the way I did that was to get my direct selection tool, click on the first corner rounding widget, hold the Shift key and click the second, and now I can smooth just those 2 corners out. So I'm going to take all of these shapes, and I think the fastest way to do this is with the Unite tool, but I have a little spot right here that doesn't have any shape, so I'm going to end up with a little hole in the middle. So instead, I'm actually going to use the Shape Builder tool to click and drag through all these shapes and create one solid shape. So there's my skull. These cheekbones are kind of intense, but if I need to tweak them later, I will. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this layer. There's our path that we've made, and I'm going to make a copy of it, and I'm going to lock it. and I'm going to just leave that down there on the bottom where I'm not thinking about it. I may need to use that later to create a clipping math so that I can eliminate all the things that are kind of hanging out in the background that I don't really need. So to start, we have our skull, and I'm going to start with the eyes. And for me, I'm really just going to kind of map this out in terms of shapes to begin with. I know that I'm going to want some eyes, and they're going to be right about here. And I don't love the shape of this skull, but I'm going to operate on done is better than good right at this point. If it bugs me too much, I may get the curvature tool and just come in here and move this. Actually, I may just go ahead and do it now. I'm going to move that out a little bit. Using the curvature tool, I know this happens to be a corner because there's a dot in the middle. If I double click on it, it's going to turn it into a curve, and then I can kind of match that shape. And I think I might like that a little better. A little more skull-ish. I think I'm going to do the same thing up at the top here just to give those a nice curve. And then, because it's how I like to work, I'm going to bring that one to the top. I'm going to just totally get rid of this one using the delete key. And there, now we have a fairly round, fairly good shape. Okay, so I've got my eyes. I'm going to go ahead and fill them with black so that I can start to see kind of what I've got going on here. I don't tend to outline my shapes, so I'm going to get rid of the outlines as well. And these tend to actually be pretty far down the face if I look at my actual sugar skull designs that I've pulled up here. Those are almost halfway down the skull. So I'm going to think about that as I'm placing them. They're just right at the spot where the cheekbones pull in, that cheekbone structure. So when I look at it in that sense, I think we're pretty close. They could maybe even come down just a little bit more. The next thing I'm going to put in are the teeth. And for me, I'm going to use the ellipse tool to make the teeth. And I'm going to make a half a tooth. So I'm using that little device we have on the side that allows us to make it a tooth or make a half-ish shape. And I think I'm going to pull this top piece up some. You'll notice every time I click on the skull, it's selecting, and that's because this skull is filled. And so I can fix that one of two ways. I think the easiest one is to just go Object, Lock, Selection, and now I won't be able to select it. You'll see in the panel that it's actually locked. So next thing I'm going to do is take this tooth. This tooth, I just want it to be an outline. Sorry about that. And so I'm going to take this tooth and I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm making a copy by using the Alt key, which is the Option key on a Mac, and just clicking and dragging. And then I'm going to spin it around 180 degrees. So I have two teeth, they match. I'm going to take these two teeth and actually make them a group. And I'm going to put them down here. I'm going to bring them into the center, and I've never tried this. I don't know if this will work. Oh, yep, sure will. Good deal. What I did was I got the blend tool. The blend tool will allow me to add an additional element. And I actually want to take this one and make it a little bit bigger, right? Because the top teeth are usually, or the middle teeth a little bit bigger than the end teeth. And I think I am going to take both of these and just size them down just a skosh. So I'm going to use the blend tool to blend from this set of teeth to this set of teeth. And I'm going to double click. I think I actually want a specified number. I think I want 2 in there. And you're going to notice when I do that, they overlap a little bit, but that's okay, because what I'm going to do is take these and I'm going to get my group selection tool and I'm going to choose this one right here and just stretch it right out so they line up well. Oh, sorry about that. So I'm going to take this first set and I'm actually going to move them so I can get everything lined up just the way I want it. Why is it being difficult? Bless its heart. I'm going to go a little bit farther back and I'm going to line these up just the way I want them to start with. There we go. And I'm going to use the blend tool. I'm going to blend from this corner to this corner. There we have just the right teeth. Then I'm going to take this blend and I'm going to get our reflect tool and I'm going to come click right. So I'm going to hold the option key and click. And if you notice that cursor, when I do that, gets 3 little dots behind it. And that wherever I click is going to become the point that this reflects from. But it's going to bring up a dialog box. So see that these teeth have just flipped right over. I'm going to go ahead and click copy. And there I have our 2 sets of teeth. Quick and easy. And actually I think I'm going to delete this one for just a second, because what I want to do is play with this line. This line is called the spine, and it's the line that the blend moves along. I was hoping I could get it to curve down and not get weird things going on, but it's not going to do that for us, so I'm not going to worry about it. We're just going to go back and again, the reflect tool. I'm going to select the entire blend, get the reflect tool. The hotkey for this tool is the letter O. I'm going to hold the option key and click, and then I'm not going to click OK. I'm on horizontal. Notice if I do vertical, it just flips over the, it doesn't look like it does anything. If I do vertical, it's going to make a cut. It's going to flip to the other side, and I'm going to click copy. So there's our mouth. I'm just going to take these 2 and group them. Now we need our nose, and I think to make our nose, I'm going to start with an ellipse. So an ellipse is a oblong circle, and I'm just going to give it an outline in this case. And I'm going to get my direct selection tool. I'm going to choose the anchor point at the top, and I'm going to make it a corner. And I'm going to choose the anchor point at the bottom, and I'm going to bring it up to create those arched pieces. And then I'm going to need my my anchor point tool. The anchor point tool lives under the pen tool. The hotkey for it is Shift and C, and that's going to let me pull that second anchor point right down there to give us that heart-shaped nose that I can then make some decisions about where and how I want that shaped. I think I'm pretty good with that. And because I want to keep somewhat similar shapes, and we talked about how I really kind of like that Milagro heart at the top, I'm going to go ahead and take this piece and I'm going to use the option key and I'm going to make a copy of it. I'm going to rotate this one 180 degrees. I'm holding the shift key while I rotate. to line that up. And then I think this particular heart, I'm actually going to come bring this up just a little bit and bring these guys in just a skosh. Nah, I want this. I want this corner to be a little tighter. So what I may need to do is bring my curve control handles in a little bit. And I'm using the anchor point tool to do that. So there we have our heart and our eyeballs and our nose and our mouth. So the basics of our sugar skull are here. What we're going to need to do next is put our decorative elements in. And so some of the designs I looked at, as I look at these designs, there's some things I really particularly like. One of the things I really like is on this design here. I love the radiated teardrops around this heart, so I think I'll do those. And I like the marigold flower on top of the head. I actually really like most of this upper brow work. So there's some flowers, there's the droplets, and the flower at the top. One of the important things to notice about these is everything on a sugar skull is symmetrical. So I really only have to worry about one half, and then I can just flip it onto the other side. So I'm going to come back to our design, and I'm going to think about that piece at the top. And what I noticed in looking at that is that these are really partial circle pieces. They're that leaf shape that's really pretty simple to make by taking two circles, and I'm just going to do this off to the side, taking two circles and using intersect, our Pathfinder intersect, to cut out and leave us with just that piece. And I'm just going to leave this guy over here on the side because I'm going to need him a few times. And so I'm really just going to use the Alt option on the Mac to drag it over here. And I'm going to lay out the pieces that I need and in various sizes. So I have this one. And it may be helpful to think about these in different colors. So I'm going to do the bottom one in red. And then I'm going to do another one. Actually, this one I think shows up a couple of times, this size. And one of the things that's really nice about these tools is I can use the numbers in my properties panel to just set those to regular measurements, right? Like this is actually probably 285 degrees. And I'll do the same thing over here. Well, I'm not going to reflect that yet. I'm going to leave that. Because what I can do is I can use that reflect tool again. Remember, this is the option key, gives you the dialog box. And all you have to do is click, and it's going to flip it right over. You can just hit copy. So there's our pieces there. We're going to need another one of these that goes maybe 30 degrees is my guess there. How does that look? Is that? Yep, I need to bring it up to the top. I'm going to give it a different color, like a different color, maybe lighter orange. And I'm going to make a copy of it, edit, copy, edit, paste in front. And let's take this one and rotate it like 60 degrees. Does that put us where we need it? Nope, maybe more like 90. Oh yeah, there we go. We're getting that shape. I'm actually going to bring these down a little bit. And I'm going to use the reflect tool again. And I'm just going to come put this right in what feels like the middle. I'm going to hold Alt and click, and then looks right, and I'm going to click copy. And then the last thing I need on this shape, I feel like this can come down a little bit, is just that round shape at the top. And so I'm gonna hold the Alt key. You'll notice I'm holding the Alt key a lot. It does a different thing every time you hold it, depending on the tool you're working with. So there I have my flower shape. I'm pretty comfortable with that. I'm gonna trim it at the very end. I'm gonna go to our view. So if you go to view and outline, you'll be able to see what that all lines up like. And I'm going to get rid of everything outside of our skull here in a minute, but I'm going to move this up just a little bit. Yeah. So I'm going to go back, view, preview. And I have that top element done. It will be a nice, easy piece here in a minute. Kind of think I want something that comes right here and right here and right there, but it's not necessary for right this second. You're going to get to make some choices about when you're happy with the design or when you're not. I think one of the things I do want to do is I want to add just a little outline to this centerpiece, and I'm going to do that by making a custom brush. So I'm going to get the polygon tool, and I'm going to use my arrow keys to arrow down so I just have a triangle. And I'm going to take that little triangle piece and I'm going to color it brown because I want these to kind of look like sunflowers. And then I think just to add some fun and some extra detail, that I'm going to zoom in here and I'm just going to add just a little yellow. We'll make it bright yellow, a little yellow polka dot in the middle. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to come to my brushes panel, I'm going to use the plus sign, and this is going to make a new brush, and I'm going to make a pattern brush. A pattern brush is the option at the bottom, and it's going to just take that little shape, and it is going to let it turn into just this nice little zigzag element. Now, I can space these, I could space them out, but I don't want them spaced out. I really want them to stay just nice and tight next to each other. And I'm just going to go ahead and click OK. So now I have a new brush. I'm going to zoom back out so I've got our entire artwork in the window, and then I'm just going to apply this brush to that circle. And there we get that nice little sort of sunflowery design around the edge. I'm going to get the appearance panel for this particular element because I really want the fill to be, nope, not on top. I lied. But I think I want the stroke, I'd really like it to be on the line better. Okay, well, oh, I can fix the brush. We'll come play with the brush here in a minute. So if you have a brush that you don't really love the way it's working, you can adjust it, and you can come determine where it's going to sit on the path. If I want it to just kind of approximate the path rather than follow it exactly, if I want to stretch it to fit, it's not really going to give me the thing I wanted right here, so I'm just not going to, actually, I know what I am going to do. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I'm going to make a little tweak to my brush over here in that I'm actually going to force this brush to sit above the line. And I'm going to do that like this. I'm going to take this brush, I'm going to pull a copy of it down, and I'm going to give it no fill. And what that's going to do is it's going to make this artwork into the brush, but the path is going to go through the center, which in this case is going to be that spot right there. So again, a pattern brush. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And now when I zoom back out and I choose our shape, there it is right on the edge. So I'm pretty happy with that. Might make it just a little bit bigger. If I increase the size of the brush, it's going to make the artwork along the path larger. And I think in this case, I'm going to see what 1.5 points looks like. Oh yeah, definitely happier with that. Okay, so I have my heart. Let's fill our heart with a good red, no outline. I've got my flower. I think I want some of these pieces to be just a little smaller. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use the Alt key and just move in from my corner, and it's going to move in equidistantly from both sides. And I think I'll move these guys up just a little, move these guys out just a little. And there, I feel pretty good about that. I'm going to take our nose and make it black. And then we're starting to get there. Move this down just a little bit because I want to put those teardrops. Now, one of my favorite things about the brush tool, or about some of our tools, is that we can do some really interesting things very quickly and create amazing brushes that are very easy to use. So I'm just making a little vertical line segment, and I'm going to go ahead and fill it black and make it a little larger. And then I'm going to use this spot that says uniform, and I'm actually going to give it what's called a width profile, so that it is blobby on one side and small on the other. And then I'm going to make it a little larger. And by doing that, I get this beautiful sort of dot shape. And I'm going to take this and make it into a brush. I'm going to make it, in this case, into an art brush. And I'm going to choose to stretch it to fit the stroke. And then in terms of colorization, I also think I want the artwork to go this way. Because when I start it, nope, I do want it to go that way. I want it to start small and get big. So when I make a brush stroke with this, it will start small and get big. And let's color this with tints, and that's going to allow us to have whatever color brush we want. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. And then I can just take that little piece, I'm going to set it off to the side. We don't really need it. So now that I have this brush, one of the elements that was so interesting to me were these line segments. And so I can just take my pen tool, and I'm just going to use the pen tool or the line segment tool. Either one would be just fine here. And I'm just going to apply, or I'm just going to make these line segments. Now, one thing I want you to think about, I was just talking about how that brush is going to start small and end big. So I'm going to want to start closest to the heart and move away from it to get the brush strokes to do what I want them to. And then I'm going to select all these, and I'm just holding the Shift key and using the selection tool to make that selection, and then I can apply that brush, and now we have that artwork with that beautiful design all around it. I'm going to choose these guys right here, all the edge ones, real fast. I'm going to get our reflect tool. I'm going to come put my cursor right in the middle of the heart, hold the Alt key, there's the reflection, and hit copy. So it may be that you want these to be colored, and if you want them to be colored, it's really very simple. You can select them. Again, I'm just holding the Shift key and using the regular selection tool. And let's make these, let's make them a beautiful aqua blue. And there we have our heart element down the middle. Now, I feel like for the things I want to put on here, this eyeball might be too big. So I am going to, again, hold the Alt key and move this in, reduce the size of it a little bit. I'm just gonna work with one eye, and then I'll copy it over to the other side when I have it the way I want it. I want a little bit of a scallop. So a scallop is just a semicircle, much like our teeth down here. So I'll use the ellipse tool. And I think I want it to be, oh gosh, maybe pink. This one I'm going to make a color and leave it that color. And again, just like with our other tool, I'm going to build something in down here so that it stays the size I want it to. Oh, I think I'm going to leave that just like that. Actually, let's pull this up a little bit. Oh, I'm having ideas and that's making me happy. I want to make this, well, let's make it orange. And I want to put a circle in the middle, a little ellipse in the middle. Oh, no, even better. What I want to do is I'm just going to make line segments. One. I'm going to have to zoom in here a little bit so that these line segments don't fight with me. So there's our first one. Second line segment. And again, because I like things to be exact, I'm going to again take this rotate, or take the reflect tool, and I just want it to reflect right there and copy. And I'm going to take these three guys right here, and I'm going to apply that brush that we made, only that looks a little big, so I'm going to make it a half a point, and maybe even a little smaller. Oh, I like that. Okay, there's our brush. I'm going to take this, oh, let's make this blue because we're on black eyes. Maybe that light orange. Yeah. I'm going to take this artwork and again make it into a pattern brush. So there's our pattern. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Zoom out. There's our eye. Let's apply that new pattern brush we just made to the edge of our eye, and you can see how quickly we can start to build very interesting elements pretty simply on our design. So there's our eye, there's our little circle. The next thing I'm going to do is use the rotate tool, and I want to put a floral element here in the middle, and so I'm going to just take a little ellipse here, and let's make it hot pink so we can really see it. No stroke. And I'm going to take the rotate tool. The rotate tool lives with the reflect tool, and it works the same way. I'm going to come down underneath the rotate, or this shape. I'm going to use the Option key. I'm going to click, bring up the dialog box, and I think I'm going to rotate this 36 degrees. That's going to give me 10 of this, because there's 360 degrees in a circle, and I'm going to hit copy, and then the hot key is Control or Command D to just make the rest of those right around there. I'm going to select all these guys. Now this is a great opportunity for you to use the Magic Wand tool. The Magic Wand tool will allow you to select one of those. They will all select because they're the same color. And then you can use Object Group, and these guys will behave like a single element. Put that right in the center. And then let's do one more thing just for fun. Let's get our star tool. And let's draw a star, but let's make this star, rather than drawing it, let's click. So we get the dialog box. Let's give it 10 points, and let's give it let's make it what I would call a really shallow star. So let's make it like 0.5 and 0.6 and click OK. And there's that shape. Let's change the color of that shape to blue. I'm going to hold the Alt key and make it a little larger. And we can bring that right to the center of our element. We can take all these elements, line them up horizontally and vertically. And there we have a pretty complex, interesting eye that's really a relatively few number of elements. So we can select all of them and group them. Again, I'm going to go back and get that reflect tool. O is the hotkey. I'm going to come put it right there, hold the Option key and click, copy it over. Now, you'll notice something funky happened, and that is that our stroke on that circle changed sides of the path. And I think that we can fix that in our, maybe in our reflect tool. Okay, well, you know, I'm going to show you the fastest way I've ever found to solve a problem. And that is, if it's going to fight with you, just make a new brush the other direction. And then we'll come take this path, apply that brush, and oh, I had all of it selected, so we got a whole bunch of things. That was kind of wild. There we go. So we have a few more elements that we need to add. We need to add some swirls, some leaf structures. I'm going to use the curvature tool. And remember, the curvature tool only makes curved lines. Well, it makes lots of lines, but it's very good at curved lines. And I'm going to make a curved line over my eyebrow here. And I'm going to hit the Escape key. I'm going to apply no fill, but I'm going to make it green. And I'm going to apply our art brush. And then I can increase the size of that brush to give us that nice shape. Now, if I don't like the shape of that art brush, here's something kind of fun. You can actually apply a width profile to that brush also to give it a little bit more organic shape. So we have this one. Let's build another one. Let's come here. And I can use the eyedropper tool from here to apply the same width and the same brush and the same, I think we used that one again. Once I have things I like and that I'm really happy with, remember that I can take this and then, I don't know, we're going to curl that one around there. Let's apply that same brush. I think you can see that this then becomes a very easy way to add what feels like difficult details, but it's really just a trick. I'm going to select those three, get the reflect tool, Option click, and copy. And now we have those elements on the other side as well. I'm going to take, I think I want to do a few of those kinds of designs down here. I'd like to put a little bit of a polka dot design around there. So I'm going to make another custom brush. This time I'm just going to make a little circle. And I'm going to color it black. I tend to color all my brushes black to start with. And then when I create the brush, again a pattern brush, This time I'm going to give it some spacing. I want to give it spacing of 100%, and that's going to and dot it out there. And I want it to be a little smaller, so I'm going to make it 50%. I'm going to set the colorization to tints and click OK. And now I can take my curvature tool, draw that right there. I'm going to hit Escape, apply that brush, get rid of the fill, and now I have that same quick and easy dot pattern. And this, because of the way I designed it, can be any set of colors. So I kind of like the red. I think I might also like to take that same set of dots and string it right along this edge here. And again, anytime I add something, I'm just going to get the reflect tool, copy it over. As long as you're doing a vertical reflection, it's not going to matter where you put your cursor as long as it's along that center line. So we need some things down at the bottom. I think I'm going to do just some more of those. Oh, I like this shape. So I'm going to take this guy. Let me make a copy of him. I'm going to rotate him back to his normal vertical here. And at some point I seem to have sheared him. He's a little funky. So I'm going to just make a new one. So ellipse tool, second ellipse tool, overlap them. I'm looking at that shape in the middle. I'm pretty happy with that one. And I'm going to use the blend tool here. I'm going to take this, I'm going to go edit, copy, edit, paste in front, and I'm going to reduce the size of this. I'm going to make it, we'll make it lime green. I'm going to just hold the Option or the Alt key and the Shift key, and I'm just going to squeeze it down in the middle there. Then I'm going to get the blend tool, and I'm going to blend from here to here. It's going to give me a gradient, which isn't really what I want. I want some very specified steps, but I only want like 3 of them. And so when I do that, we get that nice little gradient thing going on. I'm going to go ahead and click OK. I'm going to play with this color a little bit. I'm also going to use the Alt key to pull it in, make it a little more narrow. What happens if I make it blue? Don't like it. What if I make it red? That I kind of do like. And I think I want to take the outer one and make it a little bit more yellow. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to take this guy. I'm going to take him. We're going to move him in here. Put him right there. I am going to go oh, this is fun. I'll do this. I'm going to get the rotate tool. I'm going to come click right up at the top here. Option click. And I want to rotate it like 90 degrees. And copy. And then I'm going to Option click again. And this time I'm going to rotate it 180 degrees. And click copy. And so now I have those 3 pieces together, which I'm going to group because I like to make groups so that they're easy to manage. Nice little skeletal soul patch there. And let's take our line segment. Let's do this. I'm just going to take the line segment tool, and I'm going to go from here to here. And from here to here. I'm going to ballpark that one. I probably should measure it, but I'm going to select both of those. We're going to put that brush on them. I want to make them green. And then I want to do maybe another one right there. Curvature tool is great for this. And we'll get the rotate tool or the reflect tool. And again, I'm just going to option click and copy. And zoom out. So I still need to do a little bit in the cheek area. I think what I'm going to do, just for the in the interest of time, is I'm going to take this design right here. And because these types of designs are repetitive, you can get away with doing this. I'm going to take this, I'm just going to rotate it. I'm going to put it right there on that cheekbone. And then I'm going to take the corners and I'm going to use the Alt key to kind of pull it in there a little bit. I'm going to take this, we're going to resize that. Perfect. I don't love how it sits right there. So I think I'm going to just rotate it a little bit. I want to out of the teeth there, but really on that, well, let's take, oh, here we go. Let's do this. Let's take this piece that I was like, don't really love where it's sitting. Let's move it right there. We'll do the same here. Then we have a nice little shape that's working well. So I'm going to select all of these. Bet you can't guess what I'm going to do next. I'm going to get the reflect tool. We're going to Alt, reflect him across, and click copy. Now I'm going to have to do that thing again where I take this artwork and I drag it out here, and I'm going to get rid of this corner. I'm going to take this and I'm just going to rotate it 180 degrees. And then I'm going to make a new brush and click OK. Then I can click on this guy. We'll apply the new brush. There we go. I told you at the beginning of this process that I had one more trick up my sleeve, that I was going to need that at the very end. And so I made that second layer with the skull on it. Well, the time has come for me to need that skull. So I'm going to take that skull down on our layer 1 and I'm going to move it all the way to the top of our document. And it's going to cover everything up. So when it does that, don't panic. It will be a-okay. I just lost you, friend. Oh, there you are. I'm going to take you. Oh, I have to make you visible so I can see you. There you go. Matter of fact, I'm going to do this in the easiest way I know how, which is I'm going to close these two groups. I'm just going to take that blue square and I'm going to move it up to my next layer. So now everything is on the same layer. Oh, I made changes to it though. Okay, I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to have to come down and get the one that I locked and make a copy of it. So the way I'm going to make a copy of it is to just drag this path to the new layer button. And then I'm going to take this path and I'm going to go Object, Arrange, bring to front, and everything's going to disappear. I'm going to select all of the artwork and I'm going to come to Object, Clipping Mask, Make. Now this is going to look like a magic trick because everything outside that line is going to disappear. And the reason for that is that this clipping mask treats whatever element is on top like a picture frame, and so everything else gets hidden. It's still there. But there, my friends, is our sugar skull with a rotated element, a blended element, a custom brush, and all the detail you could possibly want. I'm going to go ahead and save this document, and I will upload it with the video in the comments to the video, or with the video in our D2L. And then if you have any other questions, you can shoot me an email or send me a text and we'll get you squared away.